All right, looks like we're live. Welcome to the weekly spiritual self-defense lecture. This is a quick 15 or 20-minute lecture every Saturday at 2 o'clock. I'm Robert from Existence First. That's the name of my coaching company. And I'm speaking to you from downtown San Jose, California. Now, what, as a loud car revs by? Well, a car is actually the initial story of this lecture. So I took my car in for service. When was that? Today's Saturday, so I took that in on Monday. Okay, drop it off in the morning, pick it up about lunchtime, and then I make a few stops. And by 5 or 6 p.m., I realized that there's like this scratch and dent on the car. Right now, I'll tie this into psychology, but just wait. This is the setup. Okay, so here's a picture of it. It's not that bad, but nonetheless, it caused me to think. Again, this was 5 or 6 o'clock in the late afternoon, early evening, and I thought, okay, did the service people at the Lexus dealership do this by accident, or did I somehow do this between lunchtime when I picked up the car and 5 p.m. after I ran my errands? Because I was all over. I was at the store. I was at downtown. I parked on the street for a little bit. So, long story short, I think, how could I figure this out? I go back to the Lexus dealership, and I figure maybe they have cameras. Maybe they can check the cameras. I don't know. So I go into the Lexus dealership. I say, this is the next day. And I say, hey, I was here yesterday, got the service done. And later in the day, I noticed that my car had this scratch, the dent or whatever. I don't know if it happened here or if I did it, but can you have anything to give me to work with? They had an answer within 10 seconds. They said, well, they have their little tablets now because of coronavirus. So they pull out their tablet and they go, right here, swipe, swipe, swipe. Here's a picture of your car as soon as you pulled it in for your service yesterday. And I said, oh, great, let's take a look. And so they pull up that picture. And sure enough, at the moment that I pulled in for service, my car already had that damage on it, meaning that I did that somehow prior to the service appointment. And I thought, wow, that is great to find out my answer so quickly, like it within 10 seconds. And it's irrefutable. It's not hearsay. It's not, oh, well, I went in the back and I looked at the pictures and blah, blah, blah. No, it's here it is. We're both looking at the same evidence, clear as day, and I've always appreciated just very clear evidence. Now, why do I even bring up this story? Well, first, to make a brief point about business systems, and then I'm going to segue into psychology systems. The reason that they were able to answer my question within 10 seconds, literally within 10 seconds, is because they have a system. Their business has a system, a quality control system, which is when the car comes in, the worker takes pictures of every side on the little tablet thing. That's one of many steps that they do. All right. Every business has systems. When airplanes take off, they have to do their little safety thing, right? Then I'm sure there's engine checks that they do, right? So everything you can think of, every business has a system. Okay. Now, there's I've been really delving into this show called The Profit, and in this show, the host named Marcus Lemonis, who's a successful entrepreneur and business owner, he goes into small businesses and he helps fix their shortcomings, right? He helps tighten them up. And there's a quote that I wrote down where he's talking about franchising. So I'm going to read that right now. He says, he's working with this like it's like a popsicle stand or something that they want to make more locations, right? And so he says this: a franchisee is going to want to see a detailed inventory management system, clear procedures for storing, ordering, and labeling product, a clean and thoughtfully designed facility with the correct workflow and the right equipment. And they're going to want to know that the franchisor has thought through every little detail, and where there's a problem, they've come up with a solution. So this Lexus dealership, they thought through everything, right? They've probably had situations where someone came and made a claim of like, oh, you guys damaged my car, blah, blah, blah. And they had to, so then they implemented this new system of take pictures at the beginning, right? And it solved that. So with time, this is why I'm really interested in businesses lately and studying business, because with each little event that happens, you make a change, you make an alteration so that that problem doesn't happen again, so that that problem is a problem only one time. I see this in skateboarding class, right? In skateboarding class, one day someone will be goofing off and trying something that I didn't teach them, and then they fall, right? And then so the next class, I start with a blanket general rules statement of don't try anything unless I teach you that trick, right? And so I've been doing skateboarding class for like 4 years, and I have it down to a system because things, problems have come up, and then I've dealt with the problems. Now that's another point let's segue now from business into psychology. So the art of, I don't want to say art of living, but the act of living, right? Living and being as human beings are, part emotional, part logical creatures, this strange, weird, like mammalian genius of an organism that we are. This creature, so we need to do the same thing when it comes to our emotional life, right? One thing that I believe in from the existence first philosophy and even my own philosophy on psychology is that people should not suffer unnecessarily. People should be able to use their intelligence to feel better, right? To do the right thing so that as an emotional, so that the emotional side of themselves is not in distress, so that they can enjoy life to some degree. So how do we do that? Well, the same system or the same process that I've been talking about. When something bad happens, you make an adjustment to your system. You upgrade the system, right? So when Google sees that there's some sort of bug in their programming, they issue an update. Or Zoom, let's say Zoom, right? Because everybody's been on Zoom lately for these virtual meetings. Zoom sees a bug or a problem, an error, and they have to upgrade from Zoom 4.0 to Zoom 5.0, and then you have to download the upgrade, right? So it's the same with the mind. You have to be thinking with your mind and your emotions. Today is, okay, this is version 5.0, whereas yesterday was 4.0. And so the problem is, the mistake is that people, when they try to run their lives and they try to run their psychology and run their emotional world, they get caught up in this, well, I'm going to try to avoid problems throughout my day. That's how I'm going to be happy, right? Fewer problems, more happiness. But that's not the right approach. The right approach is there will be problems, and I'm going to use every problem to make a change, an alteration to the program that I run, right? There's a quote, and I don't know who said the quote originally, but it says, the quote is, losers have goals while winners have systems. So losers have goals, winners have systems. And I think this is very true because think about it in terms of psychology. People are going to be people walk around saying, yeah, I just want to be happy, or they have these goals or whatever. But what's your system, right? I want to be at peace, or I want inner peace. What's your system for accomplishing that? That sounds to me like someone saying, I want $1 million. And it's like, okay, well, what's your business strategy? What's your system for earning that much money? And they're like, well, I don't know. I just want the $1 million. And so the absurdity becomes very clear. But people get away with this in psychology all the time. They say uh, they have these goals of what they want to do mentally, or that, but then they don't have the strategy and they don't have the system. So let's come back to systems. Let's come back to let's start perceiving the human being as this dynamic, active, ongoing, never the same, constantly changing set of emotions, thoughts, and other like mental phenomena, I guess, emotions and thoughts, right? Uh, we need to see it as this dynamic system, almost like a business, right? Where there's these transactions in a business happening daily. So too in your mind, there are these transactions happening daily where something happens on the outside, you witness an event, and boom, you have an emotion on the inside. Or you think back to something in the past, and then boom, emotion happens, right? And so, boom, all of these transactions happening throughout the day. You need to be able to view that set of transactions as yourself, because that is what yourself is, right? You are your thoughts, your emotions, your feelings, your subjective experience during this limited time that you have on planet Earth. So view this as a system and try to upgrade the system constantly based on the problems that arise throughout your experience of running the system. All right, that's all for this week. Think deeply and put your existence first.